Hello viewers, chessmates and checkmaters. Here I am Rook-ie King again with the new video. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are playing our 8th chess match on chess.com, and this game turned out to be one of the most interesting games I've played so far. This time I have the black pieces and my opponent is Sambenga. As always, my goal is simple. Play solid chess, avoid unnecessary mistakes and look for opportunities whenever they appear. The game begins with pawn e4, and I respond with pawn e5, immediately fighting for control of the center. White develops a knight to f3, and I answer with knight c6. White chooses a quieter setup with pawn d3 instead of pushing aggressively into the center. I continue normal development with knight f6. White then brings the bishop to g5, pinning my knight. This is a common idea, but instead of worrying about the pin, I calmly develop my bishop to e7. White jumps with knight h4, possibly planning an attack on the king side. At this stage, I'm already thinking about king's safety, so I castle. One thing I've learned from previous games is that keeping the king safe early often makes the rest of the game much easier. White retreats the bishop to e2, and I support the center with pawn d6. White castles as well, and I activate my rook to e8. Both sides have completed development, and now the real battle begins. White develops another bishop to d2 while I reposition my bishop to f8. The position remains balanced, but white starts expanding on the queen side with pawn b4. This move gains space, but also creates some weaknesses. Rather than allowing white to slowly improve the position, I strike in the center with pawn d5. This is an important moment, because central counterplay is often the best response to flank expansion. White captures in the center, and I recapture with knight takes d5. White continues with pawn b5, attacking my knight. Instead of retreating to a passive square, I move my knight to d4, where it becomes extremely active. From this square, the knight attacks key central and kingside squares and creates pressure on white's position. White develops the bishop to f3, and I continue coordinating my pieces. Eventually my knight finds its way to b6, while white places the bishop on h5. Then I notice a tactical opportunity. White's bishop has moved away, and the queen can safely capture on h4. I play queen takes h4, winning material and forcing white to react. White attacks my queen with pawn g3, but there's no reason to take risks. I simply retreat the queen back to d8, keeping the extra material and maintaining a comfortable position. At this point, I feel that the game is slightly in black's favor, but I know that one mistake can change everything. White continues with pawn c3, strengthening the center. I capture on b5 with my knight and continue creating active play. White recaptures with the c-pawn, and then I strike again in the center with pawn takes d3. This move opens lines and creates new tactical possibilities. White brings the queen to f3, looking toward my king and preparing attacking ideas. I respond with knight d5, placing another piece in a powerful central square. Then comes a critical moment. White plays queen takes f7 check. When a queen suddenly appears near your king, it's easy to panic, but I take a moment to evaluate the position. After calculating the variations, I realize the attack is not as dangerous as it looks. I calmly move my king to h8. White brings the queen back to f3, and I continue with knight f6. The attack is beginning to lose momentum. One of the most important lessons in chess is understanding the difference between an attack that looks dangerous and an attack that is actually dangerous. White's pieces are active, but they lack coordination, and my defensive setup remains solid. White then sacrifices with bishop takes e8. It's an ambitious idea designed to create complications and keep the initiative alive. However, I remain focused and continue finding accurate moves. I activate my bishop and improve my position. White places the queen on f4 and tries to keep pressure on my king, but now my pieces are starting to work together much better than white's. My bishops control important diagonals, my knight occupies excellent squares, and my queen is ready to join the action whenever needed. As the middle game continues, I begin noticing that white's attack is fading. The pieces that once looked threatening are now struggling to find useful squares. Meanwhile, every move I make improves my position. This is often how chess games are won. You don't always need a brilliant combination. Sometimes you simply defend accurately, improve your pieces, and wait for the opponent's attack to run out of energy. White places a rook on e1, trying to create more pressure, but I respond by capturing an important piece with knight takes e8. Material is now shifting in my favor, and the position becomes increasingly difficult for white. At this stage, I feel that the initiative has completely changed hands. Earlier in the game, white was attacking, and I was defending. Now I am the one creating threats, while white is searching for ways to survive. My pieces are coordinated beautifully. The bishops control long diagonals, the knight dominates key squares, and the queen is positioned perfectly to support the attack. White tries to reorganize the pieces, but the weaknesses around the king are becoming more and more apparent. Every move I make increases the pressure. The king has fewer safe squares. Defensive resources are limited. The position is reaching a critical point. I spend time calculating carefully because I don't want to miss a winning continuation. In chess, converting a winning position is just as important as obtaining it. Many games are lost because players rush when they are ahead. I continue improving my pieces and checking every tactical possibility. Eventually, I see the final sequence. White's king is trapped, escape squares are covered, and my pieces are perfectly coordinated. The queen can deliver the finishing blow. After verifying that there are no defensive resources available, I make the move. Queen takes f8 checkmate. The game is over. Black wins by checkmate. This was one of my favorite victories because it perfectly demonstrates the value of patience, defense, and piece coordination. White launched an aggressive attack and tried to keep the initiative for much of the game. Instead of panicking, I focused on solid moves, king safety, and improving my pieces. Once the attack faded, the counter-attack appeared naturally. That's one of the biggest lessons from this game. A successful defense often creates the opportunity for a successful attack. Every move matters, every piece matters, and coordination is often more important than material. Looking back, I'm happy with how I handled the pressure and gradually turned the position in my favor. There are still many things I can improve, but games like this remind me that patience and calculation are powerful weapons in chess. If you enjoyed watching this match, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what your favorite move was and whether you spotted any stronger continuations for either side. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next chess match. Until then, keep learning, keep improving, and keep playing chess. Result: Black wins by checkmate with qx-f8 hush. Lesson learned: stay calm under pressure, coordinate your pieces, and a strong defense can become a winning attack. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next chess match. Let's end up the video here. See you in the next video. Bye.